Lifern. Today I'm going to be doing the story time with Lifern, and it's going to be a continuation of the book called Eat, Pray, FML, Gabrielle Stone. It's been read so far. It has a lot of profanity in it, but it's really just a story about a woman who had her mishaps and a lot of crap just happened to her with relationships and everything, and she rose above it. So it's a pretty good read. At least this is my first time reading the book, but there have been really good reviews on it. I have my matcha, and I also have some pumpkin seeds to, I'm hungry and munch out. You guys should do the same thing too. And then also, right when I reach 500 subscribers, I'll go ahead and do a giveaway on this brand new Bloom by Chloe resistance band. This is the long resistance band. So if you haven't subscribed yet, really appreciate you guys subscribing. And let's dig into the story, shall we? All right, so this chapter is called Fuck Cheaters. There's no explanation needed here. Daniel spent the next 4 days at his coworker's house, or so he told me. We had very little communication during that time. The one person I did have communication with, Laurel. What? You really think I was going to decide if I wanted to leave my husband without talking to the woman in question? Please. Daniel and I had a therapy appointment scheduled on Monday, and after filling our therapist in on our current situation, I decided to text Laurel. Me. Hi Laurel, this is Gabrielle, Daniel's wife. I'm sorry to bother you, and I'm sure this is as awkward for you as it is for me. I would really appreciate if you have time for a quick phone call with me, just woman to woman, so I can assess what I'm going to do moving forward. Of course, I received a text back, not a phone call, because who actually talks on the phone anymore? I roll, she responded, explaining to me that when Daniel had written her about sitting right next to me, she panicked and deleted him in fear of me thinking that something was going on between them. I asked her questions to see if she could verify things that Daniel had told me, and she willingly obliged. Some questions were completely made up just to see if her answers were good enough. It was weird. I genuinely believed her, and my gut didn't say not to. That weekend, it happened to have a life reading scheduled with a well-known medium psychic, which my mom had gifted me for Christmas. Such appropriate timing, no? Wouldn't say I'm skeptical of these things, but I do hold people who claim to have these abilities to a very high standard. She was a beautiful woman in her mid-30s with a really sweet energy. I went in with an open mind, knowing how much bullshit was currently swarming around in my life. I also went in without my wedding ring and kept my hands tucked into my sweatshirt. This woman proceeded to tell me everything that was currently happening in my life without me saying a word about myself. She knew I was newly married, just under 2 years, and that there were recent fidelity questions arising in our marriage. She stated the woman in question didn't live close, out of state most likely. She even knew that my husband was an athlete who needed to have his ego stroked. She told me that the relationship was salvageable, but only if I decided I wanted it to be. Because while he wasn't necessarily lying, he had convinced himself that he wasn't doing anything wrong. The amount of seemingly correct information was astonishing. Then she hit me with something really interesting. I don't see that you and your husband have necessarily completed your soul's journey together. Souls come together to learn and grow from each other. However, I do see that there is another soulmate for you, and that connection is much stronger. Wow, I thought. She told me having a daughter by the time I was 33. Wait, what? Oh no, sorry. So she told me she saw me having a daughter by the time I was 33, and different things in the realm of my career. You have a lot of moving pieces right now. The next 6 to 7 months are going to be really rocky for you. Try and stay grounded and keep balance because it's going to feel very draining. This stuck with me. If only I had known how damn right she was. She also kept telling me that I need to be writing. I need you writing. I really need you to be writing, she kept repeating throughout. I have to admit, I didn't feel any inspiration to be writing at the moment. I left this session feeling a ton of different emotions. Later that day, Daniel and I met at therapy. After a lot of apologizing and discussing why it was such a poor decision to bring that specific person into such a private problem, we both agreed that we were going to work as hard as we could to get back to a good place. For me, it was deciding that I was going to stay. After being unhappy for some time, I couldn't say this situation didn't make me want to leave. It did. The 4 days he was out of the house, I genuinely thought about leaving him. I didn't want to be with someone I couldn't trust, and I certainly wouldn't put up with lying and shady behavior. Leaving was a very real option for me. But in the end, I had made a commitment, and I wanted to do everything I could to try and see it through. Maybe a part of me just wasn't ready to give up. and disappoint so many people. For whatever reason, I decided to accept the apology and put everything I had into helping us find our way back. That decision, however, would be very short-lived. Over the next 3 weeks, I worked. I really worked. Everything our therapist suggested I did. I flipped a switch and made sure I was doing everything in my power to get us back to a place of love and happiness. Daniel would soon be leaving for a 2-week period to coach his girls' team at the Junior Olympics in Orlando, Florida, and was then going straight to Columbus, Ohio to coach a boys' team I was close with. I had always gone to his tournament. I had always gone to this particular tournament to cheer them all on, and this year Daniel was being very strange about it all. He would say he wasn't sure if he could afford to get my plane ticket this year, even though he was in the midst of transitioning to a new company where he would be making twice as much money. It all just didn't seem right. But I figured it was just because of how things had been with the two of us. The weekend before he was going to be leaving, the boy had a tournament in Anaheim. Wanting to make sure I was there to be supportive, I drove down late Saturday night after one of my films had screened. Daniel had been there since Friday. When I arrived, we went to a fun dinner with a few of the parents and other coaches, then went back and had sex in our hotel room. I was finally feeling like maybe all the work I was doing was actually helping us get somewhere. The night before Daniel was leaving for Orlando, I was doing laundry while he was packing. I went to put a bunch of folded socks in his sock drawer and pull it open to find his phone sitting in it. That's odd, I thought. Why is your phone in your sock drawer? I said as I picked it up without me pressing anything. A text message notification appeared from someone named Laurel. With a heart emoji and the contact name, Daniel swiftly came over to a dresser from the bathroom and snatched his phone out of my hand and stuffed it into his pocket. I'm not fucking doing this shit with you again. He immediately went from 0 to 100. He looked like a teenager who'd gotten called into the principal's office. His breathing quickened. He started to tremble, and I could literally see his heart pounding in his chest. Let me see your phone, Daniel, I said as calmly as ever while I placed my hand out. You're insane. What is wrong with you? I'm not doing this again, he continued to panic. Let me see your phone, Daniel, I repeated, not losing my calm demeanor. This is ridiculous. I can't believe you're doing this. His panic turned to anger. Let me see your phone, Daniel. I smiled. He stormed into the bathroom and immediately locked the door. I stood frozen for the next 45 seconds, just waiting. When he finally emerged, he walked straight over to me and handed me his phone. Look, my phone's fucked up. It won't even work right now. Take it. This is someone's story. I'm sure this is many stories too. Sorry, this is aside from the point, but I yeah, I don't know. No comments, no more. Anyway, going back. Look, my phone's fucked up. It won't even work right now. Take it, he said, handing over his phone. God, did he even realize how freaking ridiculous he sounded? Way to make yourself look even more guilty, dude. I turned his phone back on, and there was, of course, no message from Laurel, nor contact to be found. I'm not stupid, Daniel. I saw her name when I picked up the phone, I said. Look through my damn phone then. He was full on yelling at me at this point. He stepped toward me, which made me back up toward the wall between our bed and dresser. I wasn't physically scared, but my defense mechanism kicked in big time. I handle intense emotions in one of two ways. Either I will yell louder and overpower the person I'm combating with, or I'll cry. Most of the time I don't want to go psycho and be that person, but the emotion has to get out somehow. So usually I choose to do that with tears. This is not that time. I can't believe you're doing this the night before I leave, he screamed. What do you want, my fucking phone records? I'll get them for you. He raised his voice even louder. My husband should have known after 5 years that he would not outfight me. He'll agree to that even now. Do you think I'm fucking stupid, Daniel? I'm not going to let you back me up and corner me just because you got caught looking like a fucking idiot. I screamed a full octave louder than his previous attack. He reached for me to try to hug me. Don't fucking touch me, I said as I quickly pulled away from him. I'm sorry, let's just talk about it. Come here, please, he said in a much calmer tone. Mine did not lower to match his. Back the fuck away from me right now, I yelled at him. After a few moments of trying to initiate a hug and feeling, he finally backed away, opening the cage he had cornered me into. I'm sorry, I'm leaving tomorrow. I don't want our last night to be like this. What do you want? I'll get you my phone records, please. It was so interesting how he went from anger and defensiveness to pleading. It was like two different people were in my house, and they had swapped out mid-conversation. I'm keeping your phone tonight, I said blatantly. Okay, fine, whatever you want to do, he replied. Good, I said as I walked past him to finish laundry. You'll also give me all your social media passwords before you leave this house, I added. Okay, done, he said. What a big mistake that would be. He continued to pack and would randomly say things as if everything was suddenly okay. I would either not respond or give a very short, very not okay answer. Then, of course, a Snapchat came through on his phone. I opened it. It was one from one of the female coaches that worked for him named Heather. It was a mirror photo of her slightly heavy figure in her underwear and a sweatshirt being pulled halfway up to show her stomach. Ugh. Written on the message was something sports related and that mentioned partying in Orlando. Oh, it just keeps getting better, doesn't it? Want to explain this? I asked with a sarcastic curiosity as I flipped his phone toward him to replay the snap. He peered in as if he was very focused on reading the message. He read it under his breath to himself. Okay, so that response had to be for a lack of having time to come up with an actual excuse. So this random chick who works with you is sending a married man a half-naked and no offense, poorly executed photo at 11:30 p.m. Well, darling, that isn't good enough answer for your wife. I looked over at him with angry tears in my eyes and said, why can't you just tell me what is going on? Whatever it is, we can work through it. You must be exhausted by this. What is going on? His eyes welled up with tears. You won't freak out? He asked. What a stupid question. No, I said, what a stupid answer. She just flirts with me all the time and likes to party, so she wants to go out when we're in Florida, but that's it. It's nothing like that. She knows I'm married, obviously. Don't they all? I mean, look at her, come on. He said with panic. I sat there for a moment taking this all in. Surprisingly, I didn't feel like I wanted to smack him across the face or even yell. I felt sad because a part of me knew he was lying and felt bad that he had the audacity to make a comment about her being ugly when he was so clearly having some type of interaction with her. Guys can be so goddamn shallow. By the end of this, I was so done. I didn't even want him in our room, much less our bed. He was supposed to leave for the airport at 3 a.m., which was in a few hours. I could handle a few hours. He climbed into bed and clung onto me like I was the life raft on the Titanic. I lay there as stiff as Jack when Rose let him sink and waited for his alarm to go off. It seemed like forever. When his alarm finally went off, he got up and he came over to kiss me goodbye. Text me your passwords for Snap and Instagram, or don't come home, I said softly. I'll do it right when I get in the car. I love you, he said, and I held my breath until I heard the front door shut. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Second fucking string. It was Wednesday, June 28th, the night before I had attended an industry party with a good friend of mine. I had confided in him that I was 95% sure I was going to leave Daniel after all the things that had gone down. I had also said, I don't think he's done anything physically. I don't think he has the balls to. Well, I had vastly misjudged the size of his balls, and that lingering 5%, it was about to get blown the fuck out. I was at home in our office, and Daniel had left his email, signed in and opened on his gigantic iMac. I still, to this day, do not know his email password. I didn't even go digging at first. I was in the office getting things out of the closet when I heard a ding come from the computer. An email had come in. Curious, I looked at the computer to see an Uber receipt. The receipt showed that Daniel had gone from where he was coaching in Florida all the way to Miami. Odd. Why would he take an hour-long Uber out to Miami? No, something was not right. That was the only thing I needed. I immediately felt it in my gut. I began to look through the emails. Nothing. Then I went to the deleted ones, and there it was. A hotel receipt from the Four Seasons for $898.49. The Four Seasons that we had been to so many times together, it was no more than 2 miles from our house. A waterfall view, drinks at the bar, dinner, and a couple's massage on April 19, 2017. The reservation name read Andrew Mater. Interesting, but who the hell was he there with? Well, This is where I tell you how I missed my calling as a private detective. I picked up the phone and called the Four Seasons Spa. Hi, my husband and I came in for a couples massage a while back, and I'm trying to do our taxes. He's in the industry, so we usually book under a fake name, but I was hoping you could tell me which names we used and when we were there. I said in an overly cheery voice while shaking on the inside. Of course, let me pull up the reservation. Really? It's too easy. To any cheating men that may be reading this, or any employees of the Four Seasons, get your shit together. Yes, I have it right here. Andrew Mater and Laurel Durando. Awesome, thank you. Click. Boom. At first I immediately thought, motherfucker. This whole time it was Laurel. Then I paused. She lived out of state, where he went to college. Just made no sense whatsoever. Plus, that wasn't Laurel's last name. See, you guys, the thing about social media is that it has single-handedly made every human on it ridiculously accessible. I typed in the name on Instagram. It was not the Laurel from Snapchat. A very blonde, very not clothed, and very young girl popped up on my screen. I began to look at her recent photos. What do you know? She just so happened to be in Miami. It didn't stop there. The email digging located numerous hotel room receipts, dinners, shopping sprees, and massage treatments, even replicas of dates that Daniel had taken me on. Dinner at Fogo de Chao and a night at the Beverly Hills Hotel. A $500 shopping spree at Naimi's, a professional makeup store. But the worst part, looking at the dates of all the receipts. The night I was winning my Best Actress award and Daniel just couldn't take work off, he was boning her in a hotel room in Calabasas that our wedding guest stayed in. The Tuesday night I went to see my friend in a show at the Bandages with my mom. He was getting a couples massage at the Four Seasons before he came home and slept with me. What? Wow. The night he said he had to go to Anaheim to handle sports tournament stuff, even though I was at home sick with an awful stomachache. He was spending the night with her, having dinner and drinks. Don't worry, he still FaceTimed me that night to say goodnight. The Friday before the big Anaheim tournament, remember? The one I drove down to on a Saturday to support them at, where we went to dinner with all the parents and then went back and had sex in our hotel room? Yeah, he was at a hotel having sex with her in Beverly Hills. And trust me when I say Daniel has never been one for condoms. The blatant evidence dated back to March, which meant it had been going on as early as January and February, if not earlier. 6 months. It had been happening for 6 months. The gym class he had been going to multiple times a week, it wasn't Orange Theory Fitness like he told me. It was Barry's boot camp where Laurel worked. It was blow after blow. And just like that, the 5% was incinerated. I was getting a divorce. However, not before I made sure I had all the proof in the world, and oh, did I get everything, and I mean everything. After finding her on social media platforms and a very amateur modeling profile site, I learned that Laurel was at the ripe age of 19. One of my best friends just came over to stay with me for the rest of the time that Daniel would be out of town. We made a fake Snapchat account, added Laurel, and began watching the next 48 hours of their trip. She and an equally trashy blonde friend were gallivanting around Miami with my husband. A lavish hotel, dinner at Nobu, shots and drinks, even though she was clearly underage. She was very careful to keep Daniel's face out of any of her snaps. Not careful enough though, however. At their sushi dinner, we could hear him talking in the background. She snapped a picture of his arm with his distinctive whitewash. Of course, by this time we were following her friend as well and watching all of her snaps. It was only a matter of time, then boom. Daniel's face popped up in the corner of a friend's videos. Meanwhile, every Uber he took was coming in on his email, so I knew everywhere he was going. Even his credit card receipts were coming in. At this point, it was literally too easy. But that wasn't all I found. There were subscriptions to secret Snapchat porn accounts where you paid $30 a month to get nude photos and videos from random girls. The list went on. My mom and I began the process of finding a lawyer. It was probably the worst week and a half of my life. I had debilitating anxiety from not being able to tell anyone other than my mom and a few girlfriends that was going on. I was waiting, not able to say anything, in fear Daniel would catch wind that I knew. I was so ready for him to come home so I could hand him papers and be done. The waiting while watching all of this unfold right in front of me was insane and surreal. And not one damn person saw it coming. When Daniel flew to Ohio, I breathed a sigh of relief. At least I knew he was with all the boys and families I knew. and I didn't have to check social media and emails 24/7, or so I thought. After I signed with a lawyer, I began to pack all the things I would be taking with me from our home. It was now just a waiting game. He had stupidly left his car parked at my mother's house before he Ubered to the airport. I, of course, had a spare key. After all I had found, I figured I might as well look in the car, right? There, sitting in a back seat, was an iPhone box. I picked it up and I opened it. Inside was a number on a little yellow post-it. Interesting. I went inside and called it from a blocked number. Someone answered, and there was silence on the other end for a good 15 seconds before they hung up. But I knew very well who it was. To be sure, I went to the computer and typed out the phone number in Google. Anyone want to take a guess what name popped up? Andrew Mater. The same name that was on the hotel receipts. Excuse me. The same name that was on the hotel receipts. It all started to make sense. Remember the initial fighting before he left his trip? When I was putting socks away and I found his phone with a text from Laurel? Well, that was his second phone. The second phone he took into the bathroom, where he swapped it with his original phone that he brought back out and handed it to me. Well played, you fucking sociopath. Well played. I had all the evidence I needed and more. I would later find out through the grapevine all his friends, who were so quick to call and tell me things. His family thought my mother and I had hired a private investigator to uncover all the information about the affair. No, sweetheart. The woman you married is just actually fucking smart. What did I say? I missed my calling as a private detective. He still to this day has no idea how much proof I have of his sloppy mess. The next few days, I knew the boys were playing in the big tournament. After a few days of relaxing on the social media stalking for whatever reason, I logged into the fake Snapchat account and looked at Laurel's story. Ohio. She was in fucking Ohio. That was the last straw. He had taken her to Ohio, where his father was, where all the kids I had been so close to were playing, where all the parents who went to her wedding were, the place I had been with that group for the past 4 years. Cherry on the cake, they flew home for first class together. She took a picture of just her hands holding a purse because she couldn't show her face just yet. Daniel arrived home on July 4th. He hung out with Laurel, her friends in Calabasas, where she lived with her parents. We had met with my lawyer, the papers were filed, and now it was just a matter of time of getting him served. We planned to have the process server come over to my mom's house, and when Daniel came to get his car, we would hand him the divorce papers. Great. Still wrestling with this awful anxiety, an intense betrayal, and rage after finding out he brought her to Ohio. I went to my girlfriend's house to try and have some sort of 4th of July. Admittedly, a small dose of prescribed Xanax had become necessary for me in the morning and at night. It was really the only way I could make it through all my days while I was holding on to all of this. After all, my life had literally changed overnight. The rug had been pulled out from underneath me, and I had fallen flat on my fucking ass. Luckily, I have enough padding down there. That night, I came home to my mom's, and she gave me an Ambien for a good night's sleep. Even with that, I slept 1 hour that night. At 5:30 a.m., I finally gave up on trying to fall asleep and went to the kitchen to make some tea. Daniel's car was gone. He had come in the middle of the night to pick it up. All the while, he still hadn't even let me, his wife, know that he was back in town. Now how are we going to serve him the papers? Shit. Fortunately, Daniel made it quite easy for me. A few hours later that day, he texted me as if I would be home later on so we could chat. No, motherfucker, you've been home for 3 days staying at your girlfriend's parents' house. Still, I wanted to make sure everything appeared normal. My only goal at this point was handing him the damn divorce papers. Me. Glad you're home. I have an event tonight, but I could do like 3-ish. I got a response confirming. That was it. It was happening. The anxiety I felt that day was literally undescribable. So many variables I couldn't control. When Daniel would actually show up, if the process server would be there, it was unreal. I stood in the home that we had only been in 8 months. I looked at the bare walls where our wedding pictures had hung, thinking about all the memories we had created. It was all about to be done. And I was ready for that. I couldn't just stand around. I needed to do something, anything. So I wrote down and wrote the following. An open letter to the 19-year-old Instagram model who slept with my husband. As I looked around at what was our home, our wedding pictures hanging on the walls, memories that we had created over the past 5 years, I realized that I had been living with a stranger. The man I had married was not the man I was living with. Far from it. For months, my husband had been cheating on me. Never in a million years did I think the person who vowed to keep my heart safe until death do us part so carelessly and blatantly would disrespect our marriage, my body, or my trust. The intricate web of lies and deceit that were weaved, the sociopath that so many of us loved and thought we knew, he seamlessly transitioned from a marriage to a relationship without missing a beat. To my soon ex-husband, I want to say this. Thank you. Thank you for not waiting until we had children. Thank you for being so careless that I was able to find everything. Thank you for showing me your true character after 5 years and not 10. Thank you for making your mother feel shame and mine feel pride. Thank you for giving me the ability to choose myself, to know that I am enough and that you did not deserve me. Thank you for showing me how strong I am, because I will come out the other end of this so much stronger than before. To the 19-year-old who knew he was married, I get it. He showered you with the same exact gifts, spa days, restaurants, and hotels he showered me with. Lack of originality, to say the least. I hope that one day, when I have a daughter, she knows the difference between right and wrong. I will raise her to treat people with respect and to respect herself and her body. I'm so sorry no one was capable of giving you that. But mostly, I want to say I forgive you. I forgive you for falling for the lies of the person I fell for. I forgive you for knowing that he was married. And I hope that one day you will realize that you don't need to exploit yourself on the internet to earn love. Just as I hope he realizes he doesn't need to buy people's love. In the end, all that really matters is knowing who you are and being true to yourself. You've both shown me that I am strong, resilient, and true. I hope you can both learn to have those qualities one day. To my friends, family, and mother, I do not know what I would do without my incredible support system. Thank you for being there for me through one of the most shocking and devastating times of my life. Daniel, thank you for setting me free so that I can one day find a person who sees how wonderful I am and will love me fearlessly and fully in a way you were never capable of. You, in the darkest way, gave me the best gift of my life. A second chance to find someone who truly values me and makes me feel like I'm the only woman in the world. I can say without a doubt, this was a tragic end to an incredible new beginning. Whoa, this chapter is pretty long. All right, I need some matcha. At 2:30 p.m., his BMW pulled into the driveway. Luckily, I had told the process server to be there early in case he showed up before 3 p.m. Daniel stepped out of the car and opened the mailbox. I watched from the guest room window as the process server ran up to him and handed him the papers. "Are you Daniel?" he asked him. Yeah. "Here you go," the process server said as he handed him the papers and began to walk away. Daniel stared down at the papers. "What's your name? Who are you?" he called out after him. Doesn't matter, bro." He was off to his car. Just then, I walked out the front door. "I know everything, but if you still want to come in and talk, that's fine." "Yeah, of course I do," Daniel responded. Little did he know, I just viewed a snap of him in Laurel at Barry's boot camp. He was still in the same workout outfit. "Just so you know, there are 4 different people that know I'm here right now and are waiting for me to call when I leave," I said calmly. "Jesus, I'm not a psychopath," he responded. I laughed as I headed into the house and he followed behind me. "Leave the door open," he said. He did so. I said he did so. I sat on the couch and he sat across from me on the love seat. The next 15 minutes were filled with more bullshit and more lies, and none of it surprised me in the least. He told me he did love me and how he had hoped I would have an amazing life and accomplish all my dreams. He told me that he had never wanted this to happen and how sorry he was that he couldn't make it work, that we were just too young. Never once did he admit to or mention Laurel. "Nice shorts," I said, smiling and nodding toward the Barry's Boot Camp logo. He quickly continued talking. "So do you just want to figure out what you want to take and we can sort through everything?" He said, "No, sweetheart. This isn't the end of a play date. It's the end of a marriage, a legally binding marriage." For being a business major, he sure was really naive. "You can talk to my lawyer about it," I responded. "Damn." "What?" he asked. "I'm a great actress, but you're really a good liar," I said. "I don't think so," he said. "Wow, naive and stupid. You know what's so sad? If you would have just come to me and said, 'We can't make this work and I want a divorce,' I would have said, 'Okay, let's be friends. I don't want anything from you.' And I meant it. But he and I both knew now that was not the case. I don't want to make this any harder for you," he said. I laughed. Now looking back at it, he knew that the only one who would be dealing with his hard karma would be himself. "Just please, Gabrielle, whatever you do, don't come after my new sports deal. It's the way I give back to the kids, and it's my passion." I literally swallowed the bile coming up my throat. Then say it, I said. Say what? He asked. Say it. I repeated. Say what? Say it. Again, I was calm. What? That I've been in another relationship? He finally said. And that was all he would say about it, having no idea that the amount I knew. I smiled, stood up, grabbed my keys. Goodbye, I said. I walked out the front door. Driving away from our home that day, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I felt like I could finally breathe again because I knew I hadn't just dodged a bullet. I had dodged an army of fucking snipers. As I drove to my mother's house, I thought about what a big blessing in disguise this really was. I decided that I, the girl who was never single, was going to say fuck men and be by her damn self for once. Best laid plans, Gabrielle. Best laid plans. And that's it. All right, guys, that was a really long chapter, but she had a lot to say. I guess comment, subscribe what you guys think of it below. That was a lot of emotion in that chapter. But again, remember, 500 subscribers. I'm gonna go ahead and give this little Bloom by Chloe workout resistance band. And thanks so much for watching. Cheers.